What's up, y'all? So in this video, I wanted to talk about the creative ruts we get in and how to get out of them. If you don't know, my name is Zach, or Thunderbird is also a name I've been given lately. Less to do with shooting thunderbolts out of my fingernails, and more to do with me being a frequent flyer to this world-renowned sub shop. Maybe it's not world-renowned, but it should be. Thunder Clouds. If you don't know, now you know, brother or sister. But I am a self-made maker, artisan, creative, whatever other title you want to throw in there. And I am driven by creative whims, inspired impulses. While I do acknowledge that imagination is a superpower I have been gifted with, I can also acknowledge that on the opposite end of that is being a professional overthinker and succumbing to analysis paralysis one too many times. Thankfully, though, I am also a self-development junkie and a student of life. And finally, I feel that I have figured out how to get out of these creative ruts. And if that's something that you're interested in, please stick around. Let's get into it. I brought my handy dandy whiteboard today. It just makes me feel like a teacher. I just freaking love it. I always got jealous that coaches were the only ones able to get on the whiteboard. And I wanted to use my fun actually it's like a chunky jumbo size marker, and it just gives me all sorts of good juices being able to write with this. So let's do it. I'd like to start with a quote from the late great John Obi-Wan Gandalf Wooden. And he stated, you can't transcend the basics. And his reference to this was his pyramid of success, which was definitely the foundation for all those years of his collegiate dominance in basketball. While he was talking about like character traits that helped his players achieve this level or that level of success, I'm referencing a more generic approach, which is something we can all find common ground on. And these basics are time, energy, and focus, and how each one of these relate to different areas of our life, like physicality, mentality, and spirituality. And let's start with number one, physicality. So let me just put in a quick footnote here that I'm not a doctor in any shape, form, or fashion. These are just my personal opinions. So please take them with a grain of salt. Use your own discernment. And if it does not resonate with you, go in peace. So with each section here, I'm going to have a subtitle that is like a mantra overlayment that I've used for each one of these areas of life. And physical, to me, definitely has to do with energy management. And what's helped me stay on track with my physical goals and manifestations is the KISS technique. Yeah. But it's an acronym. And originally when I was told of it by a former employer, and it means keep it simple. And his interpretation was stupid, and he really liked to emphasize the stupid part, which was questionable. So I've replaced it with sexy. Keep it simple, sexy. Okay. One of the best ways I like to keep things simple is with this Rev Zero workout box that I got from my friend Aaron Hankins, a fellow creative who's putting out wonderful content on his podcast, The Stonecutters. Go take a listen if you're looking for inspiration and insight on all things creative. And one of my favorite tools in that workout box is this balance beam by the Foot Collective. Over the past, I don't know, handful of years, I've had more annoying injuries than ever before. It forced me to go back to ground zero and really hone in and practice the ability of interoception, which, if you don't know, is tuning into your body's wants, needs, and desires. And for a long time, my body was telling me I needed to slow down and be more gentle. For me, working out has become a form of meditation. I really struggle with the traditional sense of meditation, and that you sit in stillness and sing kumbaya and waiting for enlightenment. That just hasn't worked out. But what has worked out is working out, in the sense that it quiets my mind. It allows me to get out of my head and into my body. Movement really is medicine when you're feeling stuck and in a rut. So keeping things simple by setting a timer for 20 minutes minimum, and grabbing 2-3 tools out of my box has been key for me. I used to get overwhelmed with the idea of working out because I was taught and always thought that I had to go hard or go home. So usually I just went home. But that all or nothing thinking is actually a fallacy. You don't have to go all out all the time. In fact, it's harmful to do that. If you are familiar with mechanics or vehicles, you know that if you're constantly driving in the red RPMs, that you're going to burn out your engine and have costly repairs, maybe even catastrophic. So having a more gentle approach, and like I said before, for me is just 20 minutes, and I only do it 2-3 times a week. It's like, well, I can manage that on a consistent basis, and it might be different for you. You might be able to handle more, or maybe it's less. Start with where you're at, with what you got, and then grow from there. Consistency really is king. And what helps build consistency is doing stuff that you actually enjoy doing. Like, you don't have to force yourself into it. One of the things that I found this past year was the bow staff. This really helps me get into the flow. In karate, they call it a kata. Shout out to all my Karate Kid watchers out there. But this is something that helps me just get my mind right. And it's a good warm-up or cool-down routine. If you're struggling to, get up the energy to actually do the workout, start with something simple and rhythmic like a kata. And it doesn't have to be the bow staff, maybe you like yo-yo or jump rope or dancing, whatever it is, just make sure it's something that you can stick with, because while discipline does equal freedom to some degree, if you're disciplined about something that you hate, it's just going to lead to disappointment and burnout. So set yourself up for success by setting goals that are fun and exciting and incorporate the pace of grace, which looks like slow progress with heavy setbacks and even heavier emphasis on the ability to bounce back. Obviously, looking good is the outcome we all want to prioritize, but I've decided to prioritize feeling good and the embodiment of satisfaction now, and to give more credence to progress than perfection, and actually enjoy the process. Crazy, I know, but for all my fellow perfectionists out there, it is a real conscious effort. Energy management, physical component of our life. Did I already show you this? Oh man, let me back up. Back up, Terry. Okay, so again, I am not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, and honestly, my dietary knowledge is not that great, but let me share a few things that actually help me feel better day to day. And so And the next section, talking about eat, sleep, and hydrate. You can't transcend the basics, y'all. With food, my entire life I've been on the seafood diet. And I'm not talking about the ocean, I'm talking about seafood. I eat it. There has been little discrepancy or discernment about what I put in my body for the most part, because my metabolism up until recently has been a friggin' furnace. Like, no matter what I would put in it, I would burn it in the next hour or two. It really wasn't concerning for me about what I put in my body, but now that has changed. And here are some keys that help me work with the diet and allow me to actually stick to it. I have a strong inner rebel, and so trying to subtract, trying to take away things simply just doesn't work out. So I've added things. I found that adding, supplementing things into your diet has allowed me to get those healthy nutrients. And also, I think it's like there's this image in my head of dilution where, like there's a cup of wine and they put it under a sink, and as the water pours in, the wine gets filtered out. And that's kind of like the unhealthy habits and nutrients and whatever else get pushed out once you add more of the good stuff in. And some of the good stuff, the good foods that I've added to my diet are avocados, y'all. I friggin' live by breakfast tacos. I probably have breakfast tacos 5 out of the 7 days a week, not gonna lie. And that's most likely not gonna change in the near future. And so adding avocados, adding spinach, adding mushrooms, adding red onions, adding like these types of things, these small little changes add up over time. I know some people will say switch to corn tortillas. Corn tortillas are a friggin' scam, okay? Unless they're for crispy chips or a flat tostada or something like that. Corn tortillas are useless. They just fall apart. Flour all day, okay? But yeah, add stuff to your diet that's actually going to work. Sauerkraut is another one of those items. I freaking love putting sauerkraut on my burgers. I love putting sauerkraut on my bratwurst. I love putting sauerkraut on my salmon. I love sauerkraut. And one key aspect that makes it even tastier is sauteing the sauerkraut. It kind of, dissolves all the juices and gives it a nice, crispier, sauteed version. And so try that if you're opposed to that, because gut health is important and sauerkraut or kimchi is a superfood. Also, if you're prone to late night snacking, switch it out with dried mangoes and friggin' dark chocolate almonds. Y'all, I never get tired of them. They're freaking expensive, don't get me wrong, but dried mangoes will save your life. So that's about all I got for eating. Hydration. Okay, story time. During like the first bout of injuries, I decided to go to a doctor and a physical therapist in particular, and I spent over $600 going to this physical therapist for him to tell me I was dehydrated. Which he wasn't wrong. I was definitely dehydrated and have struggled with dehydration practically all my life. But that was like so friggin' enlightening and annoying. So save yourself some money and start putting water in your body. If you don't already, get a Nalgene. I don't know what it is about Nalgene. They definitely got like a cult-like following. And they're pretty indestructible, except if you throw it on the cap. I have a 32 liter, I think it is, one of these. What is this? Is this 32? all of the numbers are gone. 64. Drinking a 64-ounce one of these a day, and then one of the 32-ounce with some electrolytes in it is like a baseline minimum for me per day. That usually is a good rule of thumb that keeps me well lubricated, because sometimes, guys, you're not having an existential crisis, you're just friggin' dehydrated. So before you like freak out, find out if you've gotten enough water throughout your day. Something else that I've added that really helps is Kinderlight, okay, or Pedialyte, liquid IV. Drinking one of these after a run or after I play soccer or work out is a staple in my routine now, and it has absolutely helped me recover faster and feel better. Okay. Now let's talk about sleep. This is kind of going to transition into the next section, which is mentality. But again, they all interlock or interconnect. But sleep is the most important thing for your mental health and your physical health. We, like computers or your phone, need recharging. We need that time to rest and recover. And that's why, to me, my sleep time is sacred. And having a bedtime routine is a key component of making sure that I stay grounded and centered and healthy. So what I do for sleep time routine is I have an alarm, and it plays closing time, by, it's not The Verve. Oh my God, I can't think of their name right now, but you know what I'm talking about. Closing time, time for. That's all the lyrics I know. But it's at 8 p.m., and I know that might sound early to you, but guys, I freaking love sleep. I will fight for my sleep. Do not bother me after 8 p.m. or even before 8 p.m., but especially after 8 p.m. because I'm not going to respond. Back at it. So let's get into section 2, which is mentality. The key mantra that I'm using for this section is work with yourself. There's I talked about the 3 basics you can't transcend, being time, energy, and focus. And focus is the main priority here when we're talking about mentality. This is all about focus training. This is where you use the force. Speaking of the force, that concept of interoception I mentioned in the previous section with physicality, tuning into your body's ailments or wants and needs, and it's just as important to tune into your mind and emotional needs as well. That's the other part of interoception. And let me tell you what, it is so hard to focus in on yourself when there's a bunch of mess around you. It's just a bunch of chaos. And one quick way to do that is to start organizing your space. Clean your room. I know Jordan Peterson is huge on his whole making your bed thing, right? And there is some validity to that. So in the same vein, I would encourage you to organize your space. I've put some time and effort. I put a lot of time and effort into this room. These freaking blue boxes, if you can see them, were like my favorite present of the last, 5 years. It just like gives me a sense of satisfaction that is hard to match. Organization turns me on, to be real. And there, and not just So doing it physically, right? Your room, your workspace, um, your car, like all these things um, do give you a sense of relief when there is order to it, but also your mind, okay? And my favorite way to start decluttering your mind, clearing out that clutter, is to journal. I know in the last little sit down video I had with you, I spoke about my daily journal. This is my EDC journal that I made. And y'all, this is my magnum opus. I friggin' am so proud of this journal. Like this has tangible results. Like this has helped me change my life for real. Which bringing thought to form is another thing that just like enlivens me. I live for bringing my creations to life, and this has been my favorite one. And if you want to get more into it, I'm going to make a whole series on my whole journaling regime. And I might start selling these. So if that interests you, let me know in the comments down below. But let me get back to what my next phase of journaling. There's layers to this ish, y'all. There's layers. This is my nightly, my daily journaling uh, journal of choice. Rhodia color. God, I don't know about you, but sometimes, especially when like it's cold out, touching paper just is like nails on a chalkboard. It irritates the crap out of me. You do not get this or that sensation with these journals. It is a wonderful sensation. The texture on these, like, I don't know if you can. Ooh, I might need to do some ASMR on that ish. But it is wonderful, guys. And even the pages, they have like a more manila, and there is like a tact to it. It's so slight, but I freaking love journaling on these things. And all I do, again, I'm gonna get into the depths of these in another video. That it'll take a while. It deserves its own class, to be honest. But daily and nightly. Well, nightly, let me talk about clearing out the clutter. Brain dumping, guys. I do believe that the space, that liminal space between ending the day and then going to sleep, is so important for your brain to process the information of the day. And if you don't take time to do that, it builds up, like having 72, 56, or 24, however many open tabs you might have on your phone's window browser or internet browser, right? And that slows down productivity and just causes things to get jammed up. And I have noticed that I get like that too. If I don't take the ruminatory thoughts that are constantly going through my brain and putting them down on paper into physical form, they stay up there. So this is a process of taking out that trash, that mental debris, and at least getting it onto paper. You don't need to solve anything. It's not a practice of becoming enlightened, although that is a byproduct I found of it. It's more just about relief, okay? It's more just about, again, getting to know yourself and working with yourself. And you can't do that if you don't know what you're thinking. And sometimes not every thought you think is your thought. Sometimes it's been implanted there. What's that movie with Leo DiCaprio? Interoception. These guys, this is just working together. um, but yeah, another tool that I love to do is to journal nightly and just brain dump, get my thoughts onto paper. And also in the morning, that's a whole different approach. That's where I set my intentions and where I want to put my focus for the day. Again, all of these journals are interconnected, and so this is more like a nightly morning one. This is like a day-to-day activity one. Like literally, what am I doing with my time, and also sketching my ideas and emotional process. There's a whole bunch into that. And then one more layer. There's two more layers, but I'm only going to talk about one more. Get you one of these. I'm not exactly sure what they're called, but you can get them for like $20. And this helps you aim. This helps you train your focus, become sharp. There's a quote in the Bible coming through, setting your face like flint. This is where you really hone in on what your intentions are. Okay, so just to give you guys a little example here, quick little taste, I'm going to show you last week's journal entry, and that's the taking stock, and that's the aiming for the week I just went through. But I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I am going to share with you at least how I get it started and a bit of an overview in case you're interested in learning more. So like I mentioned earlier, this is my weekly journal, so I usually start with a mantra that hits me for that week. And I'm using colors here. I don't usually use colors, although I started that way, just to emphasize this system does correlate with the chakra system, if you're familiar, and the fact or the aspect that I kind of work off of Maslow's hierarchy, although instead of viewing it in like linear terms like a hierarchy naturally does, where you got to complete one aspect and then go on to the other, I use more of a Gestalt overview. Look that word up. Where it's just like interconnected, everything plays off of each other. Using even more psychobabble, it's the biopsychosocial approach. I think that's how you say it. I accidentally got the colors wrong here. But anyway, each one of these rings represents an area of life. And the devil's in the details, right? So this approach really helped me suss out where I was putting my time and my focus in each area of my life and the results that ensued. And yeah, I know this is, a bit over the top, but I needed it. I needed that level of in-depth awareness because I found myself in cycles and patterns that I was just sick and tired of being in. And as Plato says, I think it was Plato, you are what you repeatedly do. And so it took a great amount of accountability and awareness, like I just mentioned, to really understand how I was shooting myself in the foot. And better yet, how to get better at aiming and hit the mark on the things that I actually wanted. And that's what this journal is for. This is a weekly journal I use to take stock of the week prior, and then in the week to come, set my intentions for what I'd like to get done. And guys, I am a creative at heart, and bringing this level of organization has helped me become less scattered, less frantic, and be more grounded and calm and self-assured in what I do on a day-to-day basis. And I would love to share this with y'all. It has helped me so much. There is the opposite end of this spectrum where, you can become too rigid, which I'm learning to be more fluid again with life. But this phase was so necessary for me to really hone in my focus. And again, if you're interested in knowing what my process is for doing that, let me know. So organization, there's a whole bunch of other tools to know thyself, right? Plato said that. And I love friggin' personal development. As I mentioned in the intro, I'm a personal development junkie and have spent at least the last 10 years getting to know the ins and out of the personal development world. Breaking it down to basics and practical implementations you can do. There are two human motivations I found. You're either motivated by pain or you're motivated by gain, right? And for most of my life, I had been motivated by pain, by running away from, by in fear of something, right? And switching that internal navigation system to a rewards based approach, again, revolutionized my life. Like, I keep saying that, but really these are actual things that have helped me turn my life around, get off the sideline, and start actually enjoying and living. So one book that is helpful for doing this, It Works by RHJ, or is that an F? I don't know. If you know what you want, you can have it. Guys, this book has actually got me tangible results. It is so simple, but so effective. And basically, you write down 3 material things that you want in your life. And let me just show off my ring here. This was last year's graduation ring that I bought myself. I didn't graduate college or anything like that, but I did feel like I graduated a massive level of life. And this was my symbolic gesture, and just like, I love it. It's just for pleasure. But it is a milestone marker. What is a talisman? There's another word for it. But I think it is so important to have material markings, milestones, that signify to us that we've reached a new level. We're not the same person anymore. We've overcome these challenges, because I don't think we ever truly, not face similar or like problems that we faced in the past. We just confront them or deal with them in a different manner. Know better, do better, right? And these little, I want to say mantras, mementos, thank you. Mementos help remind us of that new plateau, that new level we've reached, right? And I'm not one for materialism or anything like that, but we are here on Earth in the 3D plane. And I do think that we are supposed to use these material things to our advantage. So make a list, get a little 3x5 index card, and write down things that you actually want and are motivated to get to or obtain. I was getting another download there real quick. Yeah, the importance of marking progress is so vital. Like, if you've ever been on a hike where it's kind of gone on for a long time and you're getting worried, like, am I on the right track anymore? And then you see a cairn, similar kind of feeling. You're like, thank God. There's just that sense of relief. Like, I've made it to like, I know I'm on the right track. And that's what these tangible little milestones are for. So look into the book, It Works. Okay. But rewards-based approach. Yeah. Another example I'm getting, they say that people are like their dogs, right? And my dog Rufus definitely had similar characteristics to me. And one of them was that he didn't give jack diddly squat about punishment. Like, he loved exploring and chasing after deer and doing all the things that you don't want your dog to do on a walk. And so we bought him like one of those chain collars that have little spikes, and it was torturous. And looking back on it now, hindsight's 2020. I would have wished I didn't go that route, but that didn't make a difference. He literally would just push through the pain. Like, he gave and choke himself. He would just like give 0 F's about trying to be reined or subdued in. But giving him treats, he was like attentive AF. You could not break his attention from having a treat. And so, in a similar vein, I am way more motivated by gain than I am by pain. And I understand people are different, right? Again, going back to the personality typology stuff, Like everybody's motivated differently. Some people really like whipping themselves and being disciplined and like a tyrant, but that is not me. I have more of a rebellious spirit. So figure out what your core is and learn to work with it. All right. That's mentality. Now we're going to get into spirituality. Clean off my whiteboard, my fellow Americans, or whatever nationality you are. It would be so cool. If you are from a different country, I would love to know. It freaking weirds me out and amps me up to know that, we can connect. Like I'm sitting here on a phone in my storage room, and I could be connecting with somebody in Hong Kong or Stockholm or Iran. Like, what the heck? You know what I mean? I can't even imagine. But I think it's so cool. So please let me know in the comments down below where you're from. Even if you're from the States, let me know what state you're from. I've been in Texas my whole life, so it'd be cool to know people from other states. So spirituality. I love this whiteboard. But the mantra for this section I want to work with is feel good, look good, do good. I believe, this is one of my beliefs, y'all. If it resonates, take it. If not, leave it behind. But I believe that it is our birthright to feel good and prosper. That is ground zero. That is our homeostasis. That is where we should constantly return back to, is a feeling of homecoming, of being at ease and feeling good. Okay? Everything else mucks up that state, and I believe it's our duty to do spiritual hygiene in order to get back to that state of groundedness, of knowing who you are and feeling good. Okay, so working off that, let me start with time. I do, like I mentioned before, with the basics, can't transcend the basics, time, energy, focus. This one is all about time. I believe spirituality and time are interconnected in the way that, again, I'm hitting you with another belief, but I believe that time has more to do with how we relate to ourselves and others than it does with linear taskmaster checking things off the list form. Now let me break that down a little more and get into it. Again, I think our perception of time has more to do with our self-concept than it does with task management. And so I want you to ask yourself, sit down and ask yourself, who are you? Who's really in control? Who's at the helm of your inner castle, right? And generalizing here, and I'm pulling this reference out of The Big Leap. I can't remember the author's name, but in that book, the author talks about that time is a construct, and there's two forms of time. One being Newtonian time, and the other being Einstein time. Probably going to butcher it here, but basically, Newton time is pretty much how our 3D world works. Of that, time is a zero-sum game. There's only so much of it, and we never have enough of it, and so everybody is time poor and in a rush. Einstein time is more like Kairos, if you're familiar with that concept, or island time, kind of having that infinite abundance that you're working from. So it's not zero sum, you're working from an unlimited resource. with that being said, I think those two kind of can be personified into characters here. And Newton time has a lot, is like the American manager, man, like the inner tyrant, right? Or the devil on your shoulder. And then the Einstein time is like your inner advocate, right? It's like, imagine like a coach or a grandfather figure, right? Like, if you've ever had the fortunate experience of having a grandpa who really cared and adored for you, just being around them slowed things down, grounded things, and gave you a different perspective. Some other keys to really question and see, like, who's ruling your kingdom? Is it the inner tyrant or inner advocate? Is like, do you work off of a have to mentality or a get to mentality, right? Again, is it forced or is it unforced? Do you constantly feel that you're like indebted to do things for people? Or do you feel that like you have an overflow of time, energy, and focus? And if you don't, okay, it's important to, again, ask yourself another question. So who are you? Who's in control? And do you think you deserve good things, right? I have struggled with this my whole life. Growing up, money was tight. And so really wanting or asking for things always brought with it a sense of guilt, because I felt like I was putting undue burdens on my parents, not throwing shade on my parents at all, but just really bringing to light the undercurrent that was the emotional atmosphere that was going on. And it's super important to do this because, again, once you know better, you do better, and you don't have to constantly act in the same ways. Like, it doesn't have to be this way. You don't always have to be uptight and scared that you're somebody's going to find something out, or that another big one, like paradigm that our culture likes to work off of is productivity is dignity. And if you're not doing anything, then you're just a useless bum, right? That is a lie. And so time is our most precious resource, and it is your job. Your job is to allocate your time properly. Again, that is why I freaking love this journal, because it helped me take back my time and my sense of sovereignty. And by allocating, again, by allocating my time into the things that I really enjoy and cherish. And you can do that. That is an option, guys. You don't have to buy into the 9-to-5 wage slave mentality. You can do life on your terms. And that is what I'm trying to get across here. So, yeah, who are you? Who's in control? Do you think you deserve good things? And is what you're investing your time and energy into giving you a return on investment? Or do you just feel like you're constantly losing energy and like it's just a never-ending, exhausting cycle? It doesn't have to be that way, okay? And so here are some things you can do to take back your time. One is self-concept, like I mentioned before. Who's ruling the roost? If it's the inner tyrant, fire that asshole. Like, whoever that is in your head, he does not get to be in charge. Replace him with the inner advocate. Start acting as your own best friend, or again, as your grandfather would. Or I love working with this one. Treat yourself like Steve Irwin would treat a creature out in the wild. It's that objective point of view where you're peering down at yourself, or not like down as like overlord, but like you're looking at yourself from a curious place. Like, how does this creature thrive? How does this creature not just survive but thrive? What's the proper environment this creature needs to fulfill its potential? That type of mentality has really helped me, and maybe it'll help you too. So yeah, once you've identified your self-concept, right, that is that has taken me decades to come to terms with. Belief is can be cultivated. Absolutely. It's not either or thing. It's not like you have it or you don't have it. That's another sick concept our paradigm, our culture likes to work with. Belief in yourself can be cultivated. I'm getting the like Mike um, effect. One sec. Ooh, back at it. Okay. What was I talking about? Belief. Belief. I believe. I believe that we will win. Guys, I made this shoe. So, the like Mike effect, right? Where does belief come from? Where does motivation come from? Again, I think these things can be cultivated. It's not just you're a natural born, athlete or scientist or, artist or whatever. Yes, I do think we have particular um, skills and talents and gifts that we're all born with, but they all need to be cultivated. And this was one of mine. Guys, ever since I was young, I imagined making shoes. I spent so much time looking and drooling over soccer cleats and shoes. Like a good portion of my youth was spent just memorizing the weight, the materials, the look and the feel, like all of it. I was just inherently interested in it. And where does this all tie into belief? I believe we can create the life we want. And this is a real life example of that. This is like 20 years of me imagining and being in love with shoes brought into physical form. Now, how is belief cultivated, right? Belief. Yeah, there's just an interesting phenomenon. Like, haven't you ever had a pair of shoes or an outfit or a jersey or um, earrings or something that you wore that allowed you to step into like a new form? Like, you leveled up. You went from freaking Squirtle to Blastoids, or I don't know, another reference. That's all that's coming through right now. But there is just something that allowed you to go from point A to point B. And I've noticed a lot of the time, it's not just tangible things, but people. Haven't you had someone um, believe in you before that actually makes you feel that you can do more than you imagined? Again, back to that inner coach mentality. You need to be that for yourself, and you can be that for yourself. Um, do you think you deserve good things? Yes, we all deserve good things, and we have the right to pursue them and go after them full throttle. Now, this is also a check in with myself too, because I had put shoe making on hold for years now, and this is a good reminder for me to pick it back up. I freaking love this ish, guys. But again, that inner tyrant took over. It convinced me that I have to focus on the practical. I have to get a real job. What does that even freaking mean? When people say this is my interpretation. When people say you have to get a real job, it means you have to hate what you do. You have to work at least a 9 to 5, which really means like an 8 to 7 if you're considering like traffic and commute and all that. And then you have to ask for permission to take time off and enjoy yourself. Seriously, That does not work with me anymore. That is not how I am built. That is not how I operate. And I don't know if you're the same, but it was so important for me to start putting belief in myself and building a life that um, doesn't fall into that wage slave mentality. And I'm saying that with so much grace and love. That has been such a hard thing for me to overcome. And I'm not saying it in any judgmental type of way, even though I kind of am. But I don't want to sound patronizing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Wage slave mentality means that you're, again, always asking, you're outsourcing your authority. And what I'm saying here is that we were born sovereign. We were born to have that authority, that inner knowing of what we know what's best for our life. Okay, that's what I mean by that. So yeah, I do have judgments against it, and I hate it. So who's in control? Do you think you deserve good things? And if you do, find ways to treat yourself. This is the next section. So, time is a construct, self-care, our self-concept, and then getting into self-care rituals. Do you buy yourself nice things? Do you think you can have nice things? How do you treat yourself? These are important questions, and these are keys to, again, start taking back your power and stop outsourcing your authority. The biggest self-care ritual I have found is protecting my peace by establishing a Sabbath. Now, again, hear me out. Regardless if you're religious or not, I'm particularly not religious. I don't go to church or anything like that. But I do believe Sabbath is interwoven in our DNA. We need a day, we need time in our life to turn off and not do jack diddly squat. Just like our phone, again, I'm referencing the phone again, we need time to recharge. And if we're constantly on call or worried about, the perception of being busy, we don't have that time to get our batteries filled up. And so one way to ensure that you can weekly, and this is also a daily practice, but talking about the Sabbath, having a day in the week where you block out your free time. Like, even if you want to do fun shit, like, just block it out for that day. Like, I'm going to do whatever will fill me up. For me, this is how it works. I have no promises. I have no things on my to-do list. Like, that is just free time I can do anything with that'll fill me up, and it is all about me and filling up my cup. You cannot pour from an empty cup, okay? And these are rituals to help fill your cup back up. Staycations, guys, like, again, back to needing to ask for permission. It always seemed like, when I remember being employed by other people, it always seemed like I had to come up with like an extravagant vacation or excuse to get time off, when what I really needed was just time to not do jack diddly. Like, seriously, time to not have anything on my schedule. I'm just saying the same things, but it's so important, I think, to not need an excuse for your free time. Block out your free time. Make it a priority. You deserve it, regardless if you like have X amount in your bank account or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, take care of yourself, guys. This is one way to do it. Another way is to treat yourself. What do you love to buy? One of my little accoutrements I like to invest in now is Funko Pop. I love these little characters, and it references back to the internal family systems. And like, I feel once I've graduated a certain state of being or a character, a personality, I think they call them parts. Once I have accepted and acknowledged and understood a part in myself, I buy a character that represents that for me. And it, like, again, it's a little milestone of like, job well done. But like I mentioned before, my favorite thing to treat myself is shoes. And this is the shoe of the century, guys. This is the Samba Slayer 2000. Not really. This is Fayu. This shoe has been around forever. And like the Like Mike effect, this is, for me, the Like Jackie effect. Jackie Chan has been a role model and an idol of mine for so long. I personally think he is the father of parkour. There would be no parkour without Jackie Chan. But like, just as an athlete and as an actor, I personally don't want to be an actor unless it's in a fight scene. That I'd be down for. But just in terms of like athletic ability and the kinesthetic awareness that man had was unreal. And these shoes put me in that mentality to just remind myself of my love of using my body and the identity of that I am forever an athlete. And these shoes do it all, man. They're so good. The vulcanized toe cap, the low profile, there's zero drop here. It's made out of canvas, which lasts a fantastically long time. And I'm all about the white sneakers right now, in case you want to know. But yeah, find whatever way you need to treat yourself that lights you up. Like, doesn't even have to be purchasing something, like cutting your hair, or like your daily morning like face rituals, I'm thinking, or playing soccer. Guys, community is so important, and there is nothing that will build you up or break you down than being in the right environment. Let me say that again, because that just came through hard. There's nothing that'll build you up or break you down more than being in the right or wrong environment. And I am so grateful that I have found a community of people who love to play soccer and ping pong as much as I do.
Good game, everybody. For sure.
Pickup soccer literally has saved my life multiple times throughout my life. Just having that constant weekly group that is non-committal, right? It, like, you don't have to sign up for a team and like show up every week and be um, like have that pressure to perform. It's just when you want to, but just having that weekly meetup, even though it was mostly casual, it's like I used to bag on like light, or what do you call it, small talk, right? But I have evolved now, and I do think there is an importance to have a group that has those casual encounters of checking in. How you doing? How's the family? Yada yada yada. Like, these things don't really matter, but they do, because again, it like helps reinforce that state of stability, of homeostasis. And if you don't have a community like that yet, um, look for, like, one, find something you actually enjoy, you want to do, and then two, look for um, ways that you can just do free play or pick up. It might change your life. It definitely did mine. But breaking it back down into things you can do by yourself, solo explorations, music. Make a playlist, guys. Music is a wonderful tool to elevate your vibration, elevate your state. My favorite artists right now have a lot to do with Femi pop artists and the likes of Amber Mark and Little Dragon. They are my jam right now. I have them on repeat on Spotify. If you have any Femi pop artist recommendations, please hit me up down below. But in the same vein, um, one of the best things I've found, like if I'm feeling really chaotic and overwhelmed, one ritual I love to do is sound baths or foot baths, usually paired together. But look up Healing Vibrations on YouTube and plug that in. He's got like 3 hour sound bowl videos, and just pull out your mat, get out a foam roller, and just start slowly working out those areas. Again, yin yoga for the win, guys. Slow movements. Yeah, part of the feel good, look good, do good is investing in beauty, investing in things that, there's another quote coming through. Beauty is its own sake for being. I don't know who said it, but it just rings so true. You don't need an excuse to, um, or a reason to make things beautiful. It gives you a return on investment, I promise. And so I'm talking about your clothing, your attire, the way you present yourself. Start caring about that. If you haven't noticed my earrings, this is one way I invested into myself. I love these little studs. They're little carnelian stud earrings, and they remind me of the pleasure principle, which is to go after what actually lights you up. And it makes me feel good wearing them. Again, there is an importance to focus on soft power. Not everything needs to be material, or focused on money, or like anything like that. Like, if you're looking to describe elegance, leave it to the tailor. That's a quote coming through. And again, there is like a je ne sais quoi quality to people who know how to put themselves together that is a form of intelligence, and it's worth it to study and invest and research, what your style is, what you like, even if that's just Crocs. Like, it can go in so many different directions. But one small way that you can invest in yourself is to get new socks and underwear. Guys, that is a game changer. If for the guys out there, if you don't know about merino wool undies, what are you doing? Let me inform you, because that shit feels so good. Get you some merino wool undies. They are quite expensive. You're gonna spend like 25 a pair, but so worth it. It'll make you feel sexy. Okay. But if you're looking to ball on a budget, GW is the acronym for goodwill. It's where the bourgeois dump their belongings. I think it's only in kind of like ritzy neighborhoods. Again, that's a plug if you didn't know. So you can get good name brand stuff for cheap at the GW. Other little things that help me feel better is just giving myself time and permission to do random little projects that don't make any sense. A lot of the time, again, that inner tyrant wants to force me to focus on like the main priority and sticking to the plan and getting shit done, right? But fun is not frivolous. We need to prioritize fun in our lives. What's that quote? All work, no play makes for a very dull boy. That is so true. And it's important, again, to just have playtime, guys. It's not just for kids. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be a pro. Just get your hands messy on something that you're interested in. One example for me lately has been gaming. God, I have written off gaming for decades of my life. I have now just bought myself a Nintendo Switch and started gaming again. And let me tell you what, my lifestyle, the overall enjoyment I get has gone up so much once I started adding games back into my life. So if you're not a big gamer like me, look into the Nintendo Switch. Like, those games are so fun, and they're usually, like, again, non-committal. You can just like get in and out, and it's not a waste of time. Again, fun is frivolous. Fun is not frivolous. Excuse me. But again, if you're still, even if you've tried these things and you are still overwhelmed and feeling chaotic and scattered, walkabouts, guys. Like I mentioned before, meditation to me, or maybe I didn't mention it, but anyway, I'm talking about it now. Meditation in the traditional sense of sitting on a pillow or whatever, singing kumbaya or just being quiet doesn't work. There has to be motion for me to actually get to that place of homeostasis. And walking meditations, if you want to call it, are my go-to. I know, especially on YouTube, we all want to have a bunch of epic adventures, but don't write off your neighborhood little jaunts, your neighborhood little walks, those little cubby areas that you have yet to explore because they seem boring or that everybody does it. Explore the hood or the woods, right? Like, it is important to have those big ass dreams. Like, I want to hike the Colorado Trail by the end of this year or maybe next year. But to get there, you need to start doing the daily walks. You need to make sure you're actually in good physical shape, and you can take one step by lacing up your shoes and getting out the door. Don't be afraid don't be afraid to start small. I had this interesting little epiphany the other day on one of my walks when there was a pebble in my shoe. Okay. And this is circling back to time and the concept of time. And it happened twice. When I was working, I had a pebble in my shoe. And then when I was out on a walk, I had a pebble in my shoe. And when I was working, I ignored it. And I was like, I'm just going to push through. I'm just going to push through this pebble in my shoe and get the job done. And then when I was on a walk, I was like, why do I abuse myself like this? Why would I continue to suffer when I can just take a moment, unlace my shoes, and take the pebble out? And to me, that's speaking of, again, those thoughts, what's the word? The resistance, like the irritations, like that constantly go on, that go unnoticed in the background. That's what's coming through. And again, it's so important to take time out of your day to write down those thoughts, to get them out of your head. Give yourself a moment. Take back your time and give yourself the attention, the love, and the guidance required for you to live a full and happy life. That's where I'm going to leave it. Now, I'm going to leave you with one more quote by my all-time favorite brother from another, the Francis of Assisi. Start with what's necessary, then what's possible. All of a sudden, guess that's it. All right, we're working with that. Squeaky squeak, squeak, squeakity squeak. It's not giving me the audible that I'm really looking for, but we'll work with it. We'll work with it. Work it, work it. Here we go again, my son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Can you see? Can you feel the love tonight? I don't know why, but having a mic just makes you want to become the next American Idol. What I'm looking for is being able to see gorgeous lava lamp, have things in perspective here. Okay. Basic what is it? Fundamental of being alive. I'm losing my train of thought. The kid asked his grandfather, oh man, I'm butchering this. Basically, where energy goes, where attention goes, energy flows. Oh Lord. Let's back that up. And just so, give me a moment here. Kumbaya, my Lord. Kumbaya. Focus training, guys. Focus. This is it in real time. Excuse me. Where am I going with all this? Hello. Your dream is calling.
Game over.
Okay. Oh, all the money that ever I spent it in good company, and all the harm that ever I done, all I said was to none but me. And all I done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So build me parting glass. Good night, and joy be with you all. Good night, and joy be with you all.